The Justice Beat is dedicated to the 1 in 3 Americans touched by incarceration. The Justice Beat is where we discuss all things justice.
Tishaura Jones. Transparency, integrity, and service define who she is and how she did it. Since 2012, Tishaura O. Jones has helped the city of St. Louis earn and save over $30 million and counting. With a deep personal commitment, a wealth of experience, and a proven record of leadership, Jones started her career as a public service in 2002 when she was appointed as Democratic Committee Woman of the 8th Ward in the city of St. Louis. A history maker on a mission, she served 2 terms in the Missouri House of Representatives and was selected as the first African-American woman in Missouri history to hold the position of Assistant Minority Floor Leader. She also is the first African-American woman to serve as Treasurer of St. Louis.
Good morning, Facebook family. Thank you so much for joining us on the Justice Beat Talk Show. And welcome to our family-owned Real STL News, who is also joining us live. We are very, very excited to have with us this morning, Madam Mayor-elect Tishaura Jones. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we are very, very glad and to see you in the house. We're even more ecstatic about the fact that we're looking forward to a lot of new things to happen in this city, especially around justice reform. And so we just want to spend a little bit of time of getting your perspective on what you think may be your agenda or how you plan to shape your agenda around justice reform and your top 3 priorities in that area.
Yes. Well, again, thank you for having me. It's great to be with you today. So I am approaching criminal justice from a holistic point of view. For the last several years, I have been chair of the 2020 Bipartisan Justice Center, which is a collection of bipartisan or Black Republicans and Black Democrats across the country dedicated to criminal justice reform. And so through that experience, I have had the opportunity to meet tons of attorneys general or circuit attorneys from across the country and connect with them to see what they're doing. And one of the things I realized was that our circuit attorney here, Kim Gardner, doesn't have a partner in the mayor's office. Mm-hmm. And so she can't truly fulfill her agenda and what the people elected her to do if she doesn't have a partner in the mayor's office willing to support her work. Absolutely. Well, on April 20th, that stops. Mm-hmm. I will be working with Kim to implement her agenda, as well as one of my goals is to put the public back in public safety. And that means making sure that we're deploying the right professional to the right call. And reducing the chance of bad interactions with our law enforcement and other officers by staffing our police department with different types of professionals like mental health counselors, social workers, substance abuse counselors, and making active investments in things that keep people safe. And we signaled that yesterday by appointing an interim director of public safety and former Chief Dan ICYMI, who is just a juggernaut, just a really an expert when it comes to criminal justice reform, as well as his senior advisor will be Heather Taylor, who's formerly the president of the Ethical Society of Police. And you know that both of these wonderful people will help me put together or help me implement my criminal justice agenda, which means leading with prevention and trying to get away from this arrest and incarcerate model because it's not keeping us safe.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Excellent. I love it. I love it. Can you speak to the St. Louis jails? One of the concerns that I know a lot of people have in this city, because our show is specifically geared towards the family members and friends who have someone that's incarcerated, and how to equip, empower, and educate them on how to advocate boldly and confidently for their loved ones. Mm-hmm. What do you envision would be some of your next steps around this jail situation? Because we've had 3 riots at the jail in the last 90 days.
Actually 4.
4, okay.
So I've already interviewed Dale Glass, who's the head of corrections.
Okay.
And I plan on holding people accountable day one. I know that there have been several complaints made to our city defenders related to how people are treated. And as the daughter of an ex-felon myself who was formerly incarcerated, I understand that these people are people first. This is somebody's brother, somebody's mother, or cousin, nephew. And so my primary goal, or my North Star, is to make sure that we are treating people with dignity and respect.
Okay.
Also, we need to see what we can do to move people through the system. We are not upholding their constitutional rights to access to a speedy trial. When I found out that some people have been there for years, my heart broke, because they are not receiving the justice they are due according to our Constitution.
Right.
And so how can we work with the U.S. Attorney's Office? We know that will be changing soon.
Yes.
But also, how can we work with our circuit attorney, again, who needs help from the mayor's office, to put people in diversion programs, to work with our courts, to make sure that we are moving people through the system, because right now, in my opinion, we are violating their constitutional rights.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was talking to some folks this week about the U.S. Department of Justice and wondering just like why there has not been movement from them in St. Louis on this matter. And it's really a very egregious situation. And it should have been anticipated that these things were going to happen because they've been neglected in that area. All right, I'm going to pass on any other questions from myself and open it up so that some of our other members of the team can ask a few questions. And Claire, you're also going to be monitoring the pages to see if any questions come from the public, right? Okay. All right, Michaela.
I wanted to ask, so from poverty comes crime, and with St. Louis being a city with such high crime, many think that defunding the police would help to make a change. Do you think this is actually true, or are there better ways of improving the city, specifically St. Louis?
I think your answer, the first part of your question, is the root cause of crime. Poverty is the root cause of crime. And so we need to make sure that not only our people survive, but thrive. So how do we do that? We have to connect people with opportunities to turn away from a life of crime. St. Louis boasts about having all of these assets and all of these good things going for us, but yet we still have our poverty rates are off the chain. And let's not even talk about child poverty. So our poverty rates are higher than the national average. So we need to be focused on how do we get people out of poverty? How do we eradicate poverty? Because people who are picking up a paycheck don't have time to pick up a gun.
Say that. That's just real talk. That's serious. Okay, Michaela, did you have a second one? Did I hear you say you had two?
Well, you kind of brought up the jail rioting and everything.
Okay.
Some people say it's overpopulating is from over-policing. I wasn't sure your view on that.
Yeah, well, I talked about that earlier. We have this old and tired arrest and incarcerate model, and it's not making anybody safe. And also, we should be asking the questions: why are our detainees, not inmates, because that's a totally different situation. Why are our detainees rioting, but just 5 miles down the road in St. Louis County, they aren't? So how are, and those jails were built at the exact same time. So how is that jail still in working condition and the locks aren't broken, yet ours are? So, there are a whole host of questions that need to be asked, and you can make sure that I'm going to get to the bottom of it.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, earlier you touched on mentioning the mental health need for inmates. And so I'm a student of counseling and art therapy. And so I was wondering what you were planning on to do to help implement the mental health professionals into the justice system.
Yes. So One of the things I want to do is expand the Cops and Clinicians program, which currently pairs up a licensed clinical social worker with an officer to respond to different calls that require a social worker. I'd like to expand that by having social workers respond without officers, because sometimes an officer makes things worse. And also, they're not equipped to handle these calls. So how do we free up officers to do police work? And then also, how do we send the right professional to the right call and follow up? Because I know that just sending a social worker or sending a mental health counselor for an incident isn't going to, it helps, for that 24 to 48 hour period. But how do we also follow up to make sure that they are getting the care that they need and connecting to the resources that they need?
Anyone else? Reggie, Bobby?
We do have a question from
Okay.
and also I very much appreciate your answer. Somebody asked what would be done for inmates to help them with rehabilitation upon release.
And so I can't talk about this right now, but please know that we are putting together resources to make sure that we address recidivism and reentry as people are let out of our systems. And I am totally committed to keeping my promise of closing the workouts within the first 100 days.
Excellent, excellent. What are your thoughts about the privatizations of some of these facilities? For example, I know that the healthcare contract is up in the state, and and this particular entity has been very problematic. I know firsthand about a lot of complaints around the administration and management and delivery of healthcare in these facilities. What are your thoughts about privatized contracts?
Well, St. Louis doesn't provide direct care through its health department and hasn't for years, almost decades, because I remember standing up the immunization clinic when the St. Louis Health Department stopped doing immunizations. Remember, they used to do walk-in immunizations right there at 634 North Grand. And so when they stopped, I was working at a community health center at People's Health Center. So that's why I'm always thinking holistically. I have a master's in health administration.
Right.
So I stood up the immunization clinic at People's Health Centers when the city stopped doing direct services.
Okay.
And as the city stopped doing direct services, we aren't equipped to hire people to take care of people in our prisons. But that doesn't mean that that we can't hold that privatization contract accountable for the services it's supposed to provide.
Right.
And so also I have experience in holding vendors accountable for not doing the things that they're supposed to within their contract. I also talked to County Executive Sam Page about how they deliver care within their jail system. But then again, there's a difference. St. Louis County still provides direct healthcare services through the county health department. So they're able to just use their employees from county health department to take care of their inmates or their detainees. We cannot. So we're in a position where we have to, but that doesn't mean that we can't hold that contractor or that vendor accountable.
Great. Excellent. Excellent. Any other questions coming through?
Yes, and actually on that note, there's two about medical care. So one is, what about COVID cases in the Justice Center? And then I think I'll just combine it with, what is the medical care for inmates in the Justice Center? So I think those two will overlap.
Yeah, we all know that medical care for the detainees in the Justice Center has fallen short of what they deserve, as well as how we have handled COVID. So please know that everyone will be held accountable. That is my number one priority.
Okay, great. Now we've got about a minute left in this segment. Can you talk a little bit about you have a survey on your transition team website that you're asking the community to give feedback on? Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so we have over $500 million in federal aid headed towards our city, and it's important that we disperse these funds with equity, or with an eye towards equity. And so if you go to my website at tishauraformayor.com and scroll down on the homepage, you'll find the people's agenda for distributing COVID relief. And if you click into that article and scroll down, again, I'm sorry you have to do so much clicking and scrolling, but there is a form within the article about COVID relief where you can submit your ideas on how we should spend that money. And we have already received over 300 submissions on our page with ideas. And so we are combing through the responses, putting them together in buckets, and also trying to follow the law, how we can spend it, because the guidance on this from the Treasury Department is changing on a weekly basis.
Okay.
But please know that we will continue this public engagement process because this is the people's government and I'm the people's mayor.
All right. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Now we're going to repost all that information as well. And I'm also going to have my team of about 12 interns respond as well, because they've had some brilliant ideas. This is part of their experience in this practicum. And we'll share it widely within our network. Okay.
Please do.
Absolutely. Thank you once again. We are so pleased to have had you spend some time with us. And I thank your press team for at least getting us this 15-minute segment. And I just really, really once again welcome you and congratulate you. And we'll be in touch and would love to have you come back anytime you want to get the word out about stuff. Let us know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's been a wonderful time meeting all of you and talking with all of you about something that's near and dear to my heart, criminal justice reform.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you to our Justice Beat family and our family on Real STL News. Thank you and God bless.
God bless.
Thank you for listening to the Justice Beat. If you like what you heard and found the information useful, then support the Justice Beat talk show by spreading the word and telling a friend.